Hello, it's me, the Gingerman. So, after a few adventures outside of Fife, I've come back to where it all began. I've come back to the hometown. It's Rosyth. And yes, I am holding this strange yellow coloured booklet called The Story of Rosyth, which I got off my uncle Gerald, who is originally from Rosyth. And there's parts of Rosyth that were farms that he worked on at times before it was housing. He's told me all about it. He gave me this booklet and I thought, you know what, it's about time I went back to Rosyth and took a deeper look at this place I call home. I love the people, I love the community. I've got a drone now so we can see it from the sky, and aye, let's just get exploring Rosyth and see what's going on. I'm going to pop this down. So, hometown of Rosyth, show me what you got! Peace!
I'll turn on the camera, test my microphone, I'm firing up the podcast, sound waves coming to your home. Gingerman with a can is here to make your day. Gingerman with a can, would like to hear you say today.
I've come to the Ducot, the famous Rosyth dockyard Ducot, to read my book. And look, Rosyth Castle. So, something that I feel doesn't get enough attention is Rosyth Castle, or what is left of it. But in this booklet, there's a full-on chapter about it. The castle was built on a low-lying piece of peninsular rock. There was, in the past, a lot of dispute as to whether at high tide the ground on which the castle stood formed an island, thus giving the castle a natural moat. In fact, it was an island only during the high tides of the spring and autumn. There you go. So, some historians claiming that this part, as far as up here, was underwater. Do you believe it? Yeah, I could read a lot here, guys. Or we could just go right over there and check the castle out. Okay. So here I am at Rosyth Castle, and you can probably see why it isn't the main attraction of Rosyth. It has this fence in the way of getting to it physically, but you can stand at the fence, and we're right at Fourth Ports in the Rosyth Naval Dockyard, so you know it's a place with a lot of security, a lot of secrecy. But here it is, Rosyth Castle in the middle of the dockyard. Behold. According to this book, a lot of the history is guesswork, myth, tales, fables, whatever you want to call them. But they're, you know, more modern history. We do have some certainties. It's pretty breezy and the pages keep turning as I go to read them. These are the trials and tribulations of being a Gingerman. Let me just sit down on this curb and tell you what I'm trying to say. Towards the end of the 18th century, the castle was unoccupied. In 1698, the roof collapsed and fell into ruin. However, in 1864, the ground story was used to house fishermen and their families when a fishing station was established there. Of course, today the castle does not stand on a piece of rock. No, it doesn't. Looking out to sea, no, I can't even see the sea. I can't see the bridges just. But in the middle of Rosyth Dockyard, confirmed just after the turn of the century, the land surrounding the castle was reclaimed and put to use by the Admiralty. And that's where I think I'll start looking at the Admiralty and the more modern history of how Rosyth, as we know it today, became Rosyth, as we know it today. And there you have it. The entrance to Rosyth Royal Dockyard. Now, the book has a bit to say about it. My experience of the dockyard is when I was at high school, we went in and got to explore some submarines, which was, you know, pretty cool. It's the only submarine I've ever been on to date. Probably the only submarine I'll ever go on, but it was fun. I don't know how close I can get because it's always got security on the gates and they always look at you, especially if you've got a camera, like, what are you up to? At the beginning of this century, all of Britain's dockyards were situated on the south coast, owing to the need for a dockyard to repair a new type of ship, the dreadnought. The fear caused by the rapid expansion of the German Navy at the end of the 19th century, it was decided to build a dockyard on the east coast of Britain. There was some debate as to whether the new dockyard should be built on the Forth or the River Humber. Lord Fisher, yep, that's Fisher with an H, the first Sea Lord, was opposed to a dockyard being at Rosyth because he thought that in case of a war, the Forth rail bridge was enough of an inviting target for an enemy attack, as was without a Royal Naval dockyard being nearby. It's a fair point, there's a lot of targets here. In March 1903, however, the plan to build the dockyard at Rosyth was announced, and in the same year the government bought 1,200 acres of land and 48 acres of foreshore from the Marquis of Linlithgow. Linlithgow? We've got a connection, that's interesting. I'm going to Linlithgow soon. We'll get digging deeper into this. I want to see some pictures of what this place was like before the dockyard. Was there even much of a Rosyth then? Welcome to Rosyth, Scotland's only garden city. Celebrating Rosyth centenary, 1916. So as we learned, they were celebrating the centenary in 2016, but we just read that the dockyard was started in 1903. So was there no part of Rosyth, or did this part exist? What actually existed? I live here, and I'm learning this as I go through this booklet. So out of the dockyard grew the dockyard housing, which is the part where I'm now kind of standing in between. Over this side, I believe you had like the admirals and the more higher up officers' houses. Then you had the general sailor boys and sailor men and sailor ladies, whatever they're called, in all these houses up by Sherbrooke, etc. I'll have a wee look at the street names because I think they're all Navy based. Aye, lots to learn about Rosyth, almost too much. Okay, so I'm back in my house, which is one of the benefits of living where you're filming, I guess. Anyway, I've got my book out because there's so much information in this and I'm learning as I go. I was looking again back at the dockyard. Work on the dockyard was progressing. In 1909, the erection of a wireless telegraph station had been commenced on the top of Castleland Hill. The original plans for the dockyard had been changed. In 1911, it was decided to construct another large graving dock, and a third graving dock was added to the plans in 1913. In 1911, Dunfermline Town Council extended its boundaries to include the Rosyth area. Now, this is interesting because you can literally see Rosyth being built up over these pictures. Well, I mean, you kind of have to imagine these black and white pictures. But it's so interesting. And there's a wee thing about Tin Town, the first phase. So people were living in tin houses. My gran used to speak about this. She used to talk about the tin houses in Rosyth. So she must have been just a wee kid when this was all kicking off and beginning. She was really, literally one of the first residents of Rosyth, I guess, as we know it today. Look at this. Bungalow City. Bungalow City. They opted for the Garden City. Right, there's so much to take in. So I came back in because it was getting a bit windy and the weather was a bit uncertain. But I'm going to go back out and I'm going to take a walk up to Castleland Hill and just see, because I always wondered what was up there. It's just a random no man's land almost, but I guess it's part of the dockyard and it's a telegraph pole or whatever. Anyway, let's get back outside and check out this Castleland Hill part of Rosyth. There we go. I'm back outside and the weather has settled down. Right, so where am I? This is the Torridon area of the dockyard housing. And in the distance you can see the big crane at the dockyard. There's a couple of ferries in, it's all action packed down there. So I'm now going to walk through this here field and just swing up past the Castleland Hill. You can see the big radio tower actually. It all makes sense now. So this section of the dockyard, I guess, or Rosyth, it's been here a while. And my plan is I'll swing back round and head along another section of Rosyth, the Park Road area. That's where I'll head next, and I'll get my book out and see what it says about that. And I guess this is a work in progress. I'm just working this throughout the week, filming throughout the week, because I live in Rosyth. So why not take the time? This is a part of Rosyth I like to come to often, because I tell you what, look at this view of the bridge you get from here. Look at this. Eh? Not bad. And also, we're on the Five Pilgrims Way tag. Some might say this is my favourite spot in Rosyth. It's really cool. And it's the noise and hustle and bustle of the bridge in Edinburgh compared to the quietness of here. You can see it all. Spot on. Amazing. Apparently this all, before the houses arrived, was all just fields, farmers' fields. And I guess you can actually just see it continuing over into the Muir area, so it would all just gone field all the way. But they cleared some room for houses, because people need to live places too. But we've still got some of the field left, the farmers' field. I've never actually walked all the way up this path before, so this is a first. Not so long ago I came up here to watch a thunder and lightning storm. Cue to that clip. I actually get a really good view of the dockyard from up here. This is where I need to get the drone out and just film over the fields. I'm not too sure how much of a restricted airspace it is. Obviously I can't fly over the dockyard itself, but I can certainly fly over the fields. So may have a wee stop and get that up. I'm losing my breath. Ever since I hurt my ankle I've lost some fitness, that's for sure. That was fun. Rosyth is massive. It goes on all the way around and basically just merges with Dunfermline. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. In my previous wanders around Rosyth in the early episodes, I don't cover enough. It's another tasty view of the bridges. So we're almost at the giant radio tower. It's really big. Wouldn't catch me climbing up that. And I always questioned, is this Rosyth or Inverkeithing? But Rosyth's claimed it. The people of Castleland Hill might disagree. Even if you want to get in, you're going to have to do some parkour over the fence. Double fenced, super security. They're not messing around about here. It's really nice. You've got like a communal barbecue and a basketball net. Very nice. Got mad views over Edinburgh. Look at their views up here. This is where Rosyth Castle should have been. Right. So we're coming out at the other end of Castleland Hill, the road access part. What's this called? Lothian's View, because it's got a view of the Lothians. There's the flyover just to Inverkeithing, but we're not in Inverkeithing today. There we are. We're in Rosyth. There she is. Oh aye. Rosyth's got the Silver Gilt Award. I didn't know it had the Silver Gilt Award. I wish it was gold, but we'll keep pushing. I like this view as you drive into Rosyth. You can actually see up in the distance Dunfermline and out towards Knockhill, and even Pow Mill is somewhere up yonder. It looks so close yet so far away. There we go. Some of the old classic traditional Rosyth houses here. I don't know, is this Queensferry Road? Or is Queensferry Road the other one? Anyway, there's a big long road that goes through Rosyth called Queensferry Road, takes you through Dunfermline and all the way to Edinburgh. Right, I'm just walking down Fairy Kirk Road here. I'll need to whip out my booklet so we can learn more about Rosyth in the advancing years after the building of the dockyard area. And this is where all this grew out of, I guess. What I love about some of these streets in Rosyth is how they have these ginormous trees planted either side of the roads. It is just beautiful, and see, as you come into autumn, that's where the magic takes hold of these streets, and you can start to see it happening because we are getting into autumn. Look at this. I'm just going to walk right down the road because it is really nice. Look at this. There we go. Fairy Kirk Road. This is actually a nightmare coming out here. It's so busy. Luckily there is traffic lights. I like to do this thing to see if I can cross without pressing a button. And I give myself about 20 seconds. I think I'm going to do it. So I don't have to push the button. There we go. There you go. Saving energy. Saving the environment. True story. When I began Gingerman over 2 years ago, this is the street I lived in. I no longer live here, but this is where it all began. There you go. Here we are at Park Road, and the big Park Road Park where the first Gingerman episode was filmed, just over yonder. I got annoyed with all the mess. This is what I miss most about living around this part of Rosyth, is this park. I love this park. Right, here we are. We're back in the park woodland. This is where I came to clean up in that first episode was filmed. Hope it's tidy in here. The thing I like about this is on camera this seems way more woodlandy than you'd imagine. It's a tiny little space, but the small woodland spaces matter just as much as the big ones. Well, yeah, much better from when I first came in here all those days ago. Not bad. Seen it worse. The modern originator of the idea of the garden cities was Sir Ebenezer Howard, whose aim was to remedy both the overcrowding and the foul conditions of the centres of the large cities, and also halt the depopulation of the countryside. He believed that the whole town should be pre-planned, that there should be a green belt round the outside, and that the town should be able to supply all the needs of life. In fact, Howard was the founder of the Garden City Association. So, all starting with great intentions, great idea, brilliant. So, by June 1913 there were 3,500 men employed at Rosyth dockyard. 75% of these were English or Scots and 25% were Irishmen. Interesting. So they were all looking for places to live. The houses in Jamestown Square and Inverkeven were hardly above the habitable standard, yet were amongst the highest rented houses in the town. The other type of accommodation was the huts, which were mainly concentrated in Tin Town, a sort of shanty town beside Rosyth dockyard. Apart from the poor housing conditions, the road were also in bad repair, especially the access road to Jamestown area. So yeah, the place was building itself up, but was not structurally ready. So when did the Garden City become into being? The Scottish National Housing Company built on 270 acres approved by the Admiralty. As an initial step, the company built 150 houses which were rented from £16 to £25. Imagine that, 16 quid to rent a house. The houses built were originally in blocks of 2 and 4 and 8, all with varied styles so that they would not be monotonous. The Admiralty gave a grant of £400 to help pay for the erection of a YMCA institute in Rosyth after the war. Between 1916 and 1919, an average of 500 houses per head had been built, which was a record for house building at that period. Rosyth was breaking house building records, but throughout this time the rise in cost was dramatic, 11%. The great inflation in the building trade was due to the demand for building materials, which state subsidised housing schemes involved, exasperated by the demands of wartime for materials and labour. History repeats itself, eh? That's enough Rosyth history for now. Let's get back into the present. Right, so this is a new development for Rosyth. There used to be some building here which is now flats. Ta-da! We've got the health centre here, institute and library over there, all neatly compact in the Garden City Park. Right, as I walk along to the main central point of Rosyth where all the shops are, I've had an idea. I'm going to go home for my dinner and carry this on tomorrow. See you then. And it's tomorrow already. That's the best thing about filming in Rosyth. I can just pick up and start off whenever I want. Anyway, I've been digging deep into this, and this is interesting. Some street names in Rosyth have their origin well before this century. I think this was written in the last century, so anyway. Camden is referred to on one of the first detailed maps of this area, 1771. Now I know Camden wasn't built until the 1960s, so that's interesting, and was the name of one of the fields on Primrose Farm. It seems to consist of the Gaelic Crooked and the Scots Dean Valley defile. Crooked Valley is a strong possibility and is consistent with the lie of the land. Today we have of course the street names Camden Crescent and Camden Lane, and a whole lot about Primrose Farm. So I guess I was saying earlier about how the dockyard area was a lot of farmland. Camden was farmland, so aye, let's go check out Camden. Here we are, Camden. Well actually this is the Camden Primary School, where I went to primary school. Played football on this field for Camden Primary School. Won the Tesco Cup here. and I guess the Camden area is the part of Rosyth I lived the longest part of my life in, which is why I thought I'd come and Gingerman it up a bit. This path wasn't here when I was at school, and this field was always flooded, so you know, you'd always come home with soggy feet. See this little bridge? This bridge takes you over Camden burn. Now this, more than any other burn, is the burn I've fallen in the most, because we actually just used to hang around and play around here, jumping over it. These trees have grown in the last 20 years. That's new. This is really bushy now. There you are. They cut it all back once I grew up a bit, and then it's reclaimed itself back. So yes, for Camden. So I do want to confess right now that we did, as kids, play a lot of skippy in these gardens around here. Probably been through every back garden in this area. So, you know, I do apologise wholeheartedly right now for any stress or distress I caused to your hedges and to your back gardens. I won't tell you where I used to live, but I was somewhere around here. I grew up. I went from adolescent Gingerman to manly Gingerman. Right, here we are out on Furnace Avenue. There's my medical surgery over there. I still go there to this day. Well, I've not been since COVID. But also over there used to be a bowling alley called Champions and Leisure Zone, but it's now just all houses, so there's nothing exciting to see there. I also used to be a gym called Step Up that I went to, now called Acro Bay. So over the road there we have the Camden Chinese, the classic, the famous. I've not been eating as much Chinese recently, I'm trying to cut back. And the Cotter's Pub, where I used to work, another place I used to work. And the Camden Youth Club. Also, I don't attend the youth club anymore, but I did used to go, and we played on a bouncy castle and played indoor football, and it was great times, great fun. And the building, it just keeps getting more jazzier with each passing year. Here's the Stevens Dunfermline Business Park. I resent that, because this is Rosyth, and they've just put Dunfermline on it, so I resent that very much, Stevens. But aye, good work, it's great. I love going in for a cupcake, or whatever. Some nice cakes and Stevens and other hot goods. Other bakers are available, like Baines. Baines are also available. Anywhere more in Rosyth I played than the same place growing up. There used to be football goals over there, and some swings, and a whole group of us used to play there. Me, Aaron, Dewey who cuts my hair, Skip, Fudge, I could just name all my friends. But actually, see, before the goals arrived and we just had to use our imagination, me and Aaron would use these trees. Right, so that way to Patty's Muir. I've made it. Primrose Cottage. So this is what is left of the farm. So you can just imagine this here farm would have just continued straight through where I just walked. Straight through it all. And a part of this was called Camden. So they just decided to call the whole section of Rosyth Camden. Fascinating. I think I might get the drone up and have a wee whirl around this side. Patty's Muir. This is the bit I just started to fly my drone from. About 2 miles from the centre of about 2 miles from the centre of Rosyth, as the crow flies, and a little to the east of Dunfermline Line Kilns Road is the hamlet of Patty's Muir. The name Patty's Muir is very recent. Oh, sorry. The name Patty's Muir is of very recent origin. The S in particular only having crept in over the last 100 years. Earlier spellings include Petty Muir, Patty Muir, Patty Muir, Patty Muir, Petty Muir, and Packham Small in Lord's Elgin's estate map of the 1771. The village is referred to as Peeny Muir, and is all. I'm giving up on this. We'll get back to Rosyth. So, for those who haven't been to Rosyth for a while, this bit up here is the newest part of Rosyth. I don't know if it has a formal name, or if it's, you know, it's been taken on by the area of Camden. I like the bridge though, good wooden effect, really blends in. Anyway, they added a wee Sainsbury's shop, there's a tanning salon, carpet shop, a wee cafe called the Yellow Cafe, and that's it. Yeah, that's it, and loads of flats and houses. I quite like it, and then that path there takes you all the way to Camden. Anyway, I'm going to head to Sainsbury's, head home and get something to eat, and we'll continue this on later. You know the score by now on this episode. Here we go, I'm back home, and it's the next day again. So this has basically been a whole week in the making, and I've edited the episode up to now, and as you can see I'm at 33 minutes. That's 33 minutes. 33 minutes confirmed, which means I don't have much time left of filming and editing. So anyway, let's get back into it. There is so much in this book, it could be like a 10-part series, but we ain't got all day. The rest's up to you. But I found this interesting story, so I'll share this with you. On the 24th of December 1946, Miss Margaret Jean Battams, 38, of 40 Aberlour Street, Rosyth, left her home to go for a drink in the Rosyth Hotel around 6 p.m. She was later seen departing with another woman shortly after 9 p.m, and according to the barman, she seemed to be weeping and slightly hysterical. She did not return to her home that night. The next day, Mr. John Willis, owner of the garage at the palace, informed the police that 2 children had just come up to him crying, "There's a dead woman lying in the burn." True enough, lying face downwards in 6 inches of water beside one of the trees which ran along the burn at this time was Miss Battams. The area around the burn was immediately cordoned off and police search was initiated. This was followed by a house-to-house inquiry led by Sergeant James Scott. When interviewed by a reporter for the Dunfermline Journal, Mr. Battams stated that the body could only be identified by her clothes, as her face was almost unrecognisable. That's a long story. On the following Thursday, Professor Sidney Smith, an Edinburgh pathologist, conducted a post-mortem on the body of Miss Battams in Dunfermline and West Fife Hospital. The cause of death was described as foul play. Well, interestingly, the case remains unsolved to this day. Wow. And there's a picture of the Rosyth Hotel, which is, today, the Gothenburg. So I think, before I run out of episode time, let's just get back out there and finish this episode up at the sort of heart of Rosyth, where the Gothenburg Hotel is, where the murder of Mrs. Battam happened. Good place to end it. Here we are, the centre of Rosyth. There's the Gothenburg Hotel. I think it's been taken over, actually. It's got a new name on it, but it's still got the Gothenburg sign. Oh, watch the step, watch the speed bump, falling over. Aye, so there it is, the Gothenburg Hotel. This is the main centre of Rosyth. All the shops, Chinese restaurant, you've got the Eats, Rosyth Community Hub over there. It's all happening here. The Baptist Church there, Camden that way, Park Road that way, the dockyard that way. I don't know if there's much more else to say. I've come out to finish the episode. I'm close to the 40-minute mark, so I guess I just brought you all here to say peace, thanks for watching. Hello. Okay, don't do that. And it's tomorrow already.